Welcome you students. In today's video we are going to see about chapter of the 6th standard, that is the separating substances. In our home you may have seen our mother separating some dust or separating some stone particles or other impurities from the rice. Otherwise, while eating poha, if we do not like the curry leaves, then what we do, we separate those curry leaves from that poha. Or if we do not like the green chili, then we separate the green chili by picking. Also, if you have seen in the previous time, our grandmother were churning buttermilk, was churning buttermilk to get or to separate butter from the buttermilk. In such a way, there are different methods used to separate the components in the mixture. Before learning the methods of separation, let's know what is the mixture. Mixture is a substance formed by mixing two or more than two components. Mixture is a substance, is a new substance formed after mixing two or more than two components. Now, sometimes we need to separate these components for the use. Okay, and we use different methods for this separation of the components in the mixtures. In this today's video, we are going to see some methods of separation of components from the mixture. Let's study the first method of separation, that is hand picking. Hand picking. In your home, you may have observed your mother. You may have observed while picking your mother stones from the rice, or stones from the wheat, or stones from the pulses by hand. This method of separating impurities, this method of separating stones or chaff or some leaves or whatever will be the impurity in that cereals or pulses by hand, that method is called as a hand picking method. This method is used to separating larger sized impurities from the mixture. Now this method is used to separate the larger sized impurities. Suppose we are going to cook the rice, then before cooking that we separate the larger sized stones and some other impurities by the method of hand picking. This is the first method of separating components from the mixture. Let's see the second method, threshing. Now you may have observed after harvesting crops, the grains are separated from their stalks by using different methods. Okay, by using different ways. Now stalks means what? The upper part of crops where grains are there, where grains are present. The upper part of crops where grains are present, that part is called as a stalk. In Marathi we say as a kanis. Okay, that separating grains from that stalk, the process which is, or the method which is used to separating grains from the stalk, that is called as a threshing. Here the grains are separated from the stalk by beating stalk on any hard material. By beating stalk on the any hard material, then the food grains are separated from that, being separated from that stalk. In the earlier days, bullocks are also used to separate grains. How? The stalks are laid on the huge field or huge ground, and bullocks are allowed to move on that stalks, and one heavy stone is tied on that tied to one rope, and that rope is tied to that bullocks, and due to this, what happens? Food grains are being separated from the stalk. Okay. The next method of of separation is a winnowing. What is the winnowing? Winnowing is used to separate the lighter impurities from the heavier food grains or components. Now what happens in this process? The process which is used to separate the grains from the chaff by blowing air into it is called as a winnowing. Winnowing is the process by which chaff is food grains are separated from the chaff by blowing air into it. This process is called as a winnowing. In the earlier days, our mother blows that food grain into air like this. Okay. Now what happens? The lighter chaff or lighter particles of the husk blows away due to the air, and heavier food grains falls down in the pot or on any other thing. In this way, that chaff, that husk particles and other lighter impurities are blown away with the air, and only food grains remains or falls down. This method is called as a winnowing. This method is called as what? Winnowing. The next method is sieving. Sieving is used when components of mixture have different sizes. Now after the threshing, after the winnowing, we use the wheat or jawar and rice for making the food substances. Now before making roti, we make the flour of jawar or we make the flour of wheat, etc. And then after we use to cook it or we use to make it food substances. Now what happens? In that flour, the bran of cereals remains as it is, and we don't like to eat that bran. We don't like to eat that bran. And also some lighter and some heavier larger size component or impurities get mixed in that flour. With the help of sieve, we sieve that flour. We separate the bran, we separate the other impurities from the flour by the method of sieving. This is the fourth method of separation of substances. Okay. Then the fifth method of separating substances is called as sedimentation and decantation. These two methods are used simultaneously. Now what is the sedimentation? Before cooking rice, we may have seen that our mother washed or our mother add water into the rice. Why is this so? Our mother adds water in the rice. Why is this so? Because we can separate the stones, we can separate the chaff, and we can separate the larger particles from the food grains. But how to separate the dust or how to separate the smaller muddy impurities from the food grains? For that, our mother adds water into the rice, so that what happens? The dust particle or whatever the impurities, that dust particle dissolves in the water, and that water becomes muddy or that water becomes impure. This process is called as a sedimentation. This process is called as a sedimentation. Let me read this. When heavier component in the mixture settles after water is added to it, this process is called as a sedimentation. Now what happens? Now when we add the water into the rice, which is taken into one beaker, which is taken into one pot, that heavier material is a rice. That rice settles down and dust particle dissolves in the water. Okay, this process is called as what? Sedimentation. This process is called as what? Sedimentation. The next process is decantation. After the heavier rice settles down, removing the water along with the dust from that mixture, removing water along with the dust, this process is called as a decantation. Okay, now what we have done to remove dust from the rice? We added the water into that. Now what happens? Rice is heavier than the dust, so rice settles down and dust mixes into the water. Now removing that water along with the dust, this process is called as a decantation. This process is called as what? Decantation. Sedimentation and decantation, these both are the methods used simultaneously. This method is also used to separate oil from the water. Now what happens when oil mixes with the water? A layer of oil forms or settles on the surface of the water, and as the water is heavier, it settles downside. Then we can easily drain out the oil by the method of sedimentation and decantation. Okay students, then the next method is filtration. Now how to separate the solid substances from the liquid substances? You may have seen our mother strains the tea leaves, unnecessary tea leaves from the tea after cooking it. We may have seen our mother strains the tea leaves after cooking the tea. Such a method of separating solid substances, solid components from the liquid components is called as filtration. Filtration is done with the filtering paper or a strainer. Okay, filtration is used to separate the solid substances from the liquid mixtures. In this way, in the today's video, we have seen the methods of separation, hand picking, threshing, winnowing, sieving, sedimentation, decantation and filtration. These 7 methods of separation we have seen, we have learned in one video. So students, please like and subscribe Gurukul English Medium channel. Okay, the next part will be in the next video. Please note it down. Thank you.